Hey. Time for another out of this world story from our space. Sometimes things have to fall apart for better things to fall together. Today on our space, we learn to trust that everything happens for a reason, even when we're not wise enough to see it. Our first OP learns that sometimes the sweetest people have the cruelest intentions. Cheated on by the sweetest person I've ever known. I met her when I was 18. I had just turned 21. It was sort of that instant love that just felt insanely right for all the right reasons. We told each other that we loved each other after only 2 weeks. Soon after we met, I had to move to New York City as I was graduating and beginning my career. Long distance was never an issue for us. We'd see each other at least once a month, and given COVID, we were able to spend a lot of time together. She became my human to take care of, a reminder of why I work long hours, and my answer to the question of, what's the point? Let's call her B from now on. B always struggled with depressive episodes, a lot of it centering on issues with friends and past trauma, but some of it from within, and couldn't always be explained. B had begun school in 2019, so COVID coupled with her school's draconian safety rules essentially took her college experience from her. She always struggled with the concept of missing out, symptom of a generation that watched too many TV shows about young adulthood. She struggled with who she was and believed that, since her friends had such stark dressing styles, edgy haircuts and tattoos, that she lacked the personal depth of those around her. It was absolutely not true, but was something she got stuck on. It's now looking likely that she's bipolar. Fast forward about 2 years into our relationship, and I'm finally moving back to the area that we went to college and for work. I'm beyond elated, because I finally get to be nearer to the person that I thought would be my forever. Initially, to save some money, I thought it was a good idea to live with my parents. However, the reality of doing that was basically becoming a cave person. I stayed at home all day, didn't shave, lost my career ambition, and got fat. This was around the time the infidelity started, but unfortunately didn't know for quite some time after. B began expressing some discontent with the state of our relationship around October of 2021. She said she needed space to hang out with her friends more, and that she was too stressed out with school to keep her job. Understanding the difficulties of doing her major, I, 1, agreed to start paying for her living expenses, and 2, she didn't have to drive to my parents anymore. Get a $3,500 a month apartment in the nearby city after Christmas. I told her that after Christmas break, things would get better. I just needed to stop smoking weed, get my ambition back, and move into the city so we could do fun stuff again. After Christmas break, when B got up, I surprised her with a really nice trip to the Caribbean for spring break. I told her that I fully planned to keep all of my promises and get better. I wanted to keep her no matter what. However, I did notice some strange behavior changes in her attitude, and I started to get suspicious something was happening. The signs are always crazy obvious respectively, but never something you want to believe, so you don't. You ignore them instead. We'd always call each other before bed, but around this time, B would just be a ghost on random nights. She'd text me early the next morning, "Sorry, I fell asleep studying," or "Sorry, my phone died." She'd go out and not text me that she got home all right, or send the usual silly drunk texts. She'd come over one night after having been out, and her lock screen background was no longer a photo of me. The intermittent period between the start of her spring semester and spring break was me trying to turn things back into our old relationship. Fun brunches and dinners, try new experiences, shopping, while trying to ignore all of the above and not be suspicious. There was one night, though, that I had a full-blown panic attack while she was at a concert. I texted her at 8 p.m., didn't hear anything until 10, when she said she was on her way and didn't arrive until 2 a.m. Concert venue was 10 minutes away. She, to this day, swears nothing happened that specific night. She also promised me that night that nothing had ever happened. So we go on this trip together, end of March, and it is truly one of the best times I've ever had. We reconnect romantically, sexually, and align on what we want out of the world. But, on the final night, I discover some pretty disturbing Reddit posts that she'd posted. Not saying I should have done this, but this prompted me to check her phone. I've noticed from emails that she's downloaded Tinder several times since November of 2021 through February of 2022. I frantically wake her up and start asking what the heck is going on. Sobbing and begging, she promises me that she's never cheated and wants to spend the rest of her life with me. I ask her to swear on her family's life, and she does. Knowing her, I left it there. I didn't think she had the capacity to rely on the lives of her family. The next few months after the trip were pretty much back to normal us. Of course, I was hurt that she'd been messaging people on Reddit and was on Tinder, but I really couldn't, and still can't, see my life without her, so I brushed it off and took her word. She moved in with me in May of this year. Living together was amazing. We had no issues doing it, had lots of fun, and life was really starting to feel like it was falling into place. We go to her parents' house for the 4th of July, and then the plan was to fly to my sister's wedding the following weekend. On the night of the 4th, we were scrolling through old photos, and there's this one that pops up. It's a sexual picture that, given the angle, she could never have taken by herself. She initially lies and says it's not her, but I mean, I know what her butt looks like. The timestamp is February 1st. The story she tells is that she'd been taken advantage of by this guy. Given the content of the photo, I found it really hard to believe, but it was also an easy thing for me to swallow and place my anger elsewhere. A few days later, to a lot more lying and me crying, I go through her phone again and discover what I missed during the trip. It wasn't just this one guy one time, but it was several people throughout this 4-month period of infidelity. The cheating began right after Thanksgiving when I met her entire extended family. She cheated on me with 5 people, one of which she saw several times, and a lot of it was happening during the period that I was so suspicious of. After I had gotten the apartment and was trying with all my strength to save our relationship. Picture this. I paid for the gas she was using to have sex with other people. I was planning our vacation while she was being unfaithful. Yet, I hate that she's not in my life now. I feel like I could just let it all go if she came back, but she doesn't want to anymore. She says she can't look at me because of what she did to me. I'm not sure if anyone made it this far, but I guess my question centers on this. Why do I still want to be with her? Why does every date and every person I meet now just seem boring and uninteresting? Why do I still miss her so much? Why do I have such little self-worth? I'm 24, I work pretty much all day every day, and I'm terrified I'm destined to the life of my fellow investment professionals, ending up with a 20-something in your mid-30s that only values you for the lifestyle you can provide. I just want to feel that type of love again. Edit. I was dirt broke when we first met. I only started buying stuff for her when I had the money to do so. Let's get some community reactions. First, Crazy Hades, 62. The reason you still want to be with her is that you may have self-esteem issues to work through. At the beginning of your story, you say that she was your person to take care of, and that she has depression. You may be connected by her desire to have someone she can emotionally and financially depend on, and your need to feel needed. It sounds like a relationship where you are willing to give more than you get back. A relationship needs to be a partnership, where you both work forward to the same dream and to support each other. Your relationship sounds very one-sided. Eek. She was on Tinder, OP. I wish for you to respect yourself enough to not wish to go back to someone like her. She definitely used for you and totally broke your trust. You don't deserve that type of love. In fact, that isn't even love. Nobody who truly loves you would treat you like that. A relationship is an equal give and take. You were putting way too much time into that relationship and not receiving enough in return. If you had continued on that path, and if you would have stayed with her, you would have ended up in the position that you're terrified to find yourself in, aka one of your fellow investment professionals. But enough about that, let's move on to the update. Wanted to update you all given how kind you all were. So, do all of your advice. Blocked her on everything social media and then phone number. Made going out on dates with new people a big priority. Not going to lie, dates were tough at first. I'd say up until about the 5th person that I went out with. Having sex was tough. Found the dates to be boring. Then, it finally clicked for me when I realized how one-sided a relationship was. How much better I was than her and how little she provided in that relationship. Y'all really helped me with that. It quadrupled my body count. Banged her manager that I met through Hinge. I got her an internship at her company. Told a coworker what a piece of crap she was. You may think this is petty, but taking back some of what I gave her felt like a huge W. I also think, in a way, there's a reason we matched. After about the 10th date with the new people, I've met someone super cool. She's the same age as me, an Ivy Leaguer and a consultant at a really great firm. She has her own hobbies, which don't include sexting strangers and posting news of herself on the internet. She's also been cheated on before, and I think she gets why it's so awful. Although it's still new, we've only been on 4 dates, I'm starting to forget about my ex. I think a big thing I'm looking for is someone that won't depend on me. I want to say thank you for all the responses telling me I was crazy for wanting anything with her again. I read the responses several times over. It really helped to convince me to get back out there. And to anyone going through something similar, get on Hinge, work out, and force yourself to go out and meet new people. I realized that I'm on a break from work. This wouldn't have been easy to accomplish if I was full-time working right now. But just getting the confirmation that you still got it was a great push to keep going. A first reaction comes from A96ZWVJB T7FD3. That's the vibe, bruh. I love the word banged. Hokey banged her so hard till she screamed out and held on to you, bruh. Ha. A next comment from C. Jordan W1. Oh, this post made me so happy. See, I'm curious though, if you don't mind me asking, has she tried to contact you at all? Oh, this is excellent, OP. You're absolutely living your life, and that's all one can ask for. It's hard to be intimate with someone after being mistreated like that. Being intimate is total vulnerability, and that's not an easy thing to do. And you know what? If you wanted to bang your ex's manager, bang her. You get the last laugh. And when we don't know whether to laugh or cry, it's best to laugh. Wishing you all the best, OP. Up next, 30 is the new 20. Found out my potential fiancé had a girlfriend. Just got home from the airport and I'm just numb. We used to date when we were younger and reconnected 3 years ago. We started as friends, then moved towards more, until he confessed he still loved me. I was ecstatic. He was the one who got away. Promises were made. We talked every day, making plans. He declared he was ready to marry me as soon as he got back to the States. He was working overseas. And I decided to take a leap of faith and let myself fall into it. He finally came back stateside earlier this year, and we coordinated a reunion. He had bought me a temporary ring and promised to go actual ring shopping during my visit. He picked me up from the airport Friday, and all was well. We laughed, talked, teased. It was smooth. We spent the next few days hanging out and just getting used to each other again. He kept telling me he loved me, that the only thing that would make this better was if I agreed to marry him. But yesterday, I was cleaning up after dinner, and while sweeping, found long blue hairs in the broom. There was also a hair tie in between the cushions of his couch. He held get-togethers now and then, so I brushed it off. But then he left his phone in the car and asked me to go get it. A message popped up from a woman while I was walking back with it. A woman with blue hair. I knew then something wasn't right. He went into the office today, and finally, I went digging. I called myself crazy over and over. I didn't find anything, so I plopped down at his computer and decided to play games. When I opened it, his Facebook was up, and the woman from yesterday had sent him a message that she missed him and couldn't wait to see him at work to steal kisses. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I began scrolling to their conversation, heart beating so fast I was gasping, and found everything out. They had been dating a while, were in love. She was getting her IUD out for him. I don't want kids. She regularly spent the night. They had inside jokes. He was so present in their conversations. He had seemed distant the past 2 months, but I chalked it up to him working and being busy. But here he was, prepared to have a life with this woman. All while I came here with a ring he bought me on my finger to confirm our engagement. I had fought past my usually cautious nature and believed everything he told me. And that's not all. There was another ex-girlfriend he had been talking to. More casually, it seemed, but still, I love yous being exchanged. I sent them both a friend request and typed a long paragraph and screenshots explaining the situation. When he finally walked in the door after work, I was packed, dressed, and sitting at his desk. I hit send on the messages to them as he rounded the corner. I wish I could say he seemed sorry. Instead, he seemed he didn't know if we would have worked, that he hadn't seen me in so long, so had doubts. All kinds of excuses. Even accused me of betraying his trust for reading his messages. I can't quite remember what I said, but I definitely called him a piece of crap and asked why he wasted my time. Apparently, he wanted to see if there was a chance we could be happy. The other women were the backburners, I guess. But after spending time with me, he realized the spark wasn't there. I told him to go F himself and left to get an Uber to the airport. Meanwhile, the girlfriend responded, thanking me for telling her. I warned her he was a liar and not to believe anything he said. The ex confirmed she knew he was a horrible guy, and it wasn't the first time he did something like this. The ex FaceTimed him while he was working things out with the girlfriend and went off. A few hours later, the ex circled back with me and let me know the girlfriend was giving him another chance. They were in love apparently. The ex and I agreed she was being an idiot, but it couldn't be helped. I thanked her for the honesty and blocked him everywhere. The girlfriend had already unfriended me. I don't even know where to go from here. I was planning my future, and now he gets to have a happy ending while I'm left alone and angry. 3 years he lied to me. 3 years of wasting my time. And the worst is, if someone who's known me off and on for over a decade can do something like this, how do I ever trust again? The only one who knows is my mom. I can't tell anyone about this, about how stupid I was. I work in 6 hours, but all I can think of is how he lied to me, starting over again at 30. And I think I'll just be single forever. I can't do this again. Let's see how the community reacts. First up, Life Yogurt Closer 98. OP, you did nothing wrong. That's all. You did nothing wrong and shouldn't have to punish yourself and feel ashamed because of one a-hole who continued to lie. You put everything you had out there, and that's great. It's amazing. That ick couldn't even bother confronting you about wavering his emotions and instead tried to find others to support him if things went badly with you. He was not going to break up with any of you, and blue hair is stupid for thinking she's special. The Stranger 2018 adds, if you give up after meeting one fraud, you will never meet your prince. Think of it as a lucky escape. We have one more comment from Momplicated Wolf. I have a similar story to yours. You may want to look in narcissistic personality disorder and see how much of it helps the pieces fall into place. Know 2 things. 1. He chose you as a partner because you're a good person. 2. He will not ride off into the sunset with his new girlfriend and live happily ever after. He will do the same things to her. He already has. She may put up with it longer than you. Social media may portray them as happy, but it is not real, and you should pity her rather than be jealous of her. She's wasting her time, and you're free. Wow. He gave you the oldest story in the book, OP. He tried to blame his own actions on you because how dare he acknowledge that he's actually done something wrong. Honestly, hon, you are not stupid at all. Don't say things to yourself that you couldn't imagine saying to one of your best friends.